This shows you how they take a lie, and we're going to explain to you who this girl is when we come back. And they spread it around and spread it around and spread it around, and then you got the president talking about it. And it gets all the way to the president, and then action happens. And this is how it works. This is how they brainwash you. Now, I'm not saying this happened in this instance. There are parallels, though. But this is how they make propaganda work against your brain, against your, it goes into your eyes, into your brain, into your subconscious. Then you're like, oh, dead babies, incubators. Got to do something about it. Let's kill brown people. Let's go into the Middle East. Let's take it over. So here's that clip.
They took the babies out of the incubators. Took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
I can only ask how these animals can commit such barbaric and inhuman acts and then deny that these acts ever took place.
Premature infants in incubators were sentenced to die by having the incubators removed.
The hardest thing was burying the babies. I myself buried 14 newborn babies that had been taken from their incubators.
Now is the time to check the aggression of this ruthless dictator whose troops have bayoneted pregnant women and have ripped babies from their incubators in Kuwait.
I could not help but think of my nephew, who, if born premature, might have died that day as well.
They had kids in incubators, and they were thrown out of the incubators so that Kuwait could be systematically dismantled.
All right, so that was the montage I put together. Let me tell you something. I remember this so clearly when this happened. Millions of us watched
Babies in incubators. Babies in incubators.
Her testimony
Babies in
on
incubators.
television. I mean, millions of us watched it. She was a 15-year-old girl, and this really helped big time generate the support to go into the.
Because we're the good guys.
That's right. We're the good guys.
Go in and help people.
So I mean, it was devastating. So
after we invited Iraq to go into Kuwait because Kuwait was drilling into Iraqi oil fields, no one ever talks about that.
Now
it's always about Saddam invaded Kuwait.
Here's the thing: everything you just watched, all that testimony, was complete bullshit. All right, they were all lying. All right, and that 15-year-old girl, she ended up being. We've come to find out she was the niece to the Kuwaiti ambassador, right? To the ambassador to Kuwait. And she was recruited by the CIA. She was given acting lessons by a U.S. PR firm in the United States. And her entire testimony was false, right? And even the president of the United States, George Bush Sr., was in on the big lie. So there you go. So we're not saying that no children died in the Syrian chemical attacks. I'm sure children did die. But we're saying this reminds us of that war propaganda where the war drums are beating. And now we've got the UN ambassador. You know, she's Nikki Haley. She's up there.
Former governor of South Carolina.
Very powerful, emotional address to the UN. If you guys could cue that up for me, let's take a look at that next. This reminded me of what you just saw in 1991. That's right. Let's do Nikki Haley and Donald Trump pretty much talking about the same thing. Babies dying. That was in, and this is now. Check it out.
Yesterday morning, we awoke to pictures, to children foaming at the mouth, suffering convulsions, being carried in the arms of desperate parents. We saw rows of lifeless bodies, some still in diapers, some with visible scars of a chemical weapons attack. Look at those pictures. We cannot close our eyes to those pictures. We cannot close our minds of the responsibility to act. We don't yet know everything about yesterday's attack, but there are many things we do know. We know that yesterday's attack bears all the hallmarks of the Assad regime's use of chemical weapons.
Using a deadly nerve agent, Assad choked out the lives of helpless men, women, and children. It was a slow and brutal death for so many. even beautiful babies were cruelly murdered in this very barbaric attack. No child of God should ever suffer such horror.
So if you're going to manipulate people, you're going to do it with dead babies. That's the easiest way to manipulate good, hardworking Christian Americans and others who appreciate baby life, little baby young lives. They appreciate
Americans are compassionate people.
Exactly.
Of course, that's going to, it's going to get everybody on board to want to go to war. Hey, man, I fell for it in the 90s. When I saw that testimony, I fell for it. Millions of us did. And we were gung-ho. We were ready to go. I mean, the Gulf War was probably one of the most supported wars in American history. Everybody was on board for that. But it turns out that it was a fabricated lie that got us in there. And,
just like the second Gulf.
Just like the second one, exactly. Now, we also have another clip from CNN where a 7-year-old Syrian girl, she had a heartbreaking plea. Why can't we stop the war? This was just the day before the missile strikes. And let's check that out next.
Bana, do you blame President Assad for this?
Yes, I am very sad about this. 100 Syrians were killed in Syria. They were not terrorists. They were just people. The world is watching. The world doesn't do anything.
And if you watch her eyes, you could see her reading.
Clearly pre-written propaganda lines. She's reading from a teleprompter.
The whole world's watching.
And the whole world is watching. And lo and behold, the next day we have the strikes. So just telling you guys, just be very careful. Don't rush to judgment. I find it highly unlikely that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad would do something like this. He's this close to winning the war.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
Now I'm going to take
on
10
the
steps
run.
backwards.
Yeah, I mean, so why would he do something like this? Look, he's going to regain power or maintain power, I should say. And like I said, this close to winning it all, why would you gas your own people and get the entire international community against you? It just doesn't make
sense. Ron Paul said it.
It looks like it might benefit Assad. So Assad, they claim, now went and released gas to kill a bunch of people. But, Daniel, we might not have much of a job here today because I looked at the New York Times to find out, to get the explanation, and they said, worst chemical attack in years in Syria. U.S. blames Assad. So it's all over and done with. But not quite so easy, is it? What happened 4 years ago in 2013, this whole thing about crossing the red line, and ever since then, the neocons have been yelling and screaming. Even part of the administration is still yelling and screaming about Assad using poison gases on his people 4 years ago. Not quite true.
Yeah, it was never proven, in fact, and the UN official Carla Del Ponte said that attack was most likely done by the rebels based on the evidence. But here you have Nikki Haley, U.S. ambassador to the UN, almost as we speak, literally at the UN Security Council, saying, quote, "We know Assad has used chemical weapons before." It's not true. It has never been proven that he has. He may have. We do know that the rebels have used them. That has been proven.
And who would benefit? It makes no sense, even if you were totally separate from this and take no sides of this, and you were just an analyst. It doesn't make any sense for Assad under these conditions to all of a sudden use poison gases. It's zero. I think it's zero chance that he would have done this, deliberately, and he's doing this now.
In case you haven't heard, InfoWars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. InfoWars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the InfoWars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to InfoWars.com/app and download today. today. InfoWars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the InfoWars store that are only available for InfoWars Prime subscribers. That's InfoWars Prime at Infowars.com/app. If you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.